Well, hey, what's going on? Nick Kirby here. Welcome to a special edition of Chatterbox Reds. As the Reds make a trade, Reds acquire Connor Joe from the San Diego Padres for minor league pitcher Andrew Moore. Going to break it all down for you here over the next couple of minutes. Thanks as always for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, please like the video, comment, let me know your thoughts below about this move and my thoughts on how it shakes out for the Reds. So let's break down this trade. So you might remember Connor Joe from back in 2019 when the Reds selected him in the Rule 5 draft. Reds were trying to convert him to a catcher. I think it was sort of like a utility type catcher where he would maybe catch and play multiple positions. He was okay for the Reds in spring training. I know there was a lot of buzz about him that year, but he ended up not making the team. The Reds moved on, and that was the end of that. But shout out to Connor Joe. He actually carved out a pretty nice big league career. He got a chance finally with the Rockies in 2021, ran with it, and has ended up playing 445 games with a career 96 WRC plus. Last 2 years, you've probably seen him with the Pirates. Got off to a really good start last year, but then was really bad from June on, which is probably why he finds himself in the spot that he currently is. Signed with the Padres to a minor league deal this offseason. Only had 9 at-bats with the Padres, 0 for 9. So a tough way to finish your baseball reference page with the Padres. But down at Triple-A, he was up and down. Actually, I think he started Triple-A, got to the big leagues for a couple games, and he was back down to Triple-A when the Reds traded for him. Hit 267 with a 405 on base percentage at Triple-A. So playing certainly pretty well. The big thing about Joe is he can play multiple positions, and he can also play them fairly well. He's an above average defender at first base, pretty average defensive outfielder. So certainly some versatility in some positions of pretty big need for the Reds. As first base and the outfield have kind of been, in some ways, a black hole for the Reds. Connor Joe does hit lefties pretty well. Career 349 on base percentage, 760 OPS against lefties. So where does Connor Joe fit in? Well, I'm assuming that he's going to replace Jake Fraley's spot on the roster. Fraley out of the lineup for a third day on Friday. Then the Reds make this move for Joe. Seems like it probably is a one-for-one move there. We'll see. I saw some people ask, well, would the Reds just be trading for Connor Joe just to send him down to AAA as depth? I don't think so. Andrew Moore, we'll talk about in a second. He's more of a certainly a lottery pick, but they did actually have to give up a player in their system that has some talent. So I don't think they're trading for just AAA depth. Could be wrong, but I would expect that he is on the big league roster. So ideally, I think he's just on the bench most nights. I don't anticipate that Connor Joe would be starting. If he is, we'll talk about that in a second. That I don't think would be the use for him. Ideally, you just have him on the bench, and then he gives you an option to pinch hit against a left-handed pitcher late in the game for Benson or Lux. Shout out to Will Benson, who got called up on Friday. And then he has obviously the position flexibility late in the game to play multiple positions and not really handcuff you in terms of you can't pinch hit for this guy because you have no one left that can play first base or you have no one left that can play right field. Connor Joe kind of, I think, fits that mold. So here, if you're watching on YouTube, and I'll read through it here in the podcast form, here's the starting lineup that I think the Reds will probably run out most nights. There's going to be some caveats to it. But if I had to guess the lineup on Saturday, barring someone getting a day off, this is what I think it would be. So I'm assuming you just keep the top three: Friedel, McLean, and Ellie. Austin Hayes, he's been fourth whenever he's played. So that seems like that's pretty well set in stone. And then I think you have Gavin Lux probably DHing more than not. And then Spencer Steer, they still have him in the 6 hole, so I'm going to assume he's still there. Tyler Stevenson catching, of course, it could be Trevino as well. And then I think Will Benson will probably be playing most days against right-handed pitching. I think they'd probably bat him 8th. And then you'd have Santiago Espinal batting 9th, playing third base. So that would leave your bench as Rhys Hines, Connor Joe, Jose Trevino, and Austin Wynns. Obviously, Trevino is going to get a decent amount of playing time. I think that he probably, when he plays, Stevenson probably maybe gets some at first base. Maybe Stevenson and Steer almost split the or they split the Trevino days at catcher at first base. I could see that maybe being a situation there. I don't think Will Benson is going to get every start against right-handed pitching. I think that Rhys Hines would get quite a few. In fact, if Fangraphs actually holds true, the Reds' next 9 games would all be against right-handed pitching. So there's not really going to be a whole lot of left-handed starters coming up. So there's not really going to be opportunities for a much different lineup. So that's kind of how I would see it shaking out. And then I just think Connor Joe probably maybe gets a spot start here and there, but I don't think he's a starter, or at least he shouldn't be a starter. And that's kind of leads me to, like, do I like this move or not? Well, depends how they use Connor Joe. If they're trying to play Connor Joe in a substantial role and they're playing Connor Joe over either Will Benson or Rhys Hines, that would be where I'd have a problem with it, because the Reds offense, as we've talked about it all year, about how much it struggled, and they need some upside. And Connor Joe doesn't have upside. Connor Joe is gonna help, is better than Blake Dunn. I don't think there's any question about that. I think he's better than Jacob Hurtubise right now in his career. But he doesn't have anywhere close to the upside of either Benson or Hines. And Benson and Hines, both of them could fall in their face, but they also have a chance to run into some baseballs and create a whole bunch of runs with some home runs. So I think that, you're kind of in some regards with Benson and Hines, you're kind of throwing a dart on the wall and seeing if one of them sticks. But the Reds are kind of in a spot where why not try that? So again, I like the Connor Joe move a lot, as long as he's a bench roll that gives you an opportunity to pinch it for Benson. Benson can't hit lefties. We know that. Gavin Lux can't hit lefties. He's probably just as bad as Benson against lefties, maybe a little bit better. Certainly probably strike out a lot less. But as long as that's his role, I think it's a good role. I think he's a guy that you don't mind just sitting on the bench. Um, we'll see. I mean, the Reds could make some more changes here. The Reds could send Hines back down and just have Connor Joe take his spot, but I don't like that at all. I don't know why you would bring Hines up and just to send him back down. Like, I just don't see the reward here. So I hope that Francona doesn't just give Connor Joe more starts because he's a veteran. I hope that Benson and Hines, any chance that they can be used, the Reds are using them because they have the upside. And maybe it doesn't work, but what's they're trying right now isn't working either. So at least give yourself some upside there. As far as what the Reds gave up, they gave up Andrew Moore. He's a left-handed pitcher. He's currently at Double-A Chattanooga. He's part of the return for Luis Castillo. So now 2 of the 4 players in that deal are gone, as Levi Stout also no longer with the Reds organization. But the 2 big pieces in Noelvi Marte and Edwin Arroyo certainly still in the Reds organization, with hopefully still all the promise in the world. But Andrew Moore had a 4.51 ERA down at Double-A Chattanooga. Strikes out a ton of batters, also walks a ton of batters. I liked Andrew Moore a lot. He was a very talented pitcher that had some upside. There's no question he has some upside, but he's definitely a lottery ticket as a reliever. If he figures it out, I don't think he's not like a Luis May figure it out kind of guy, but he could certainly carve himself out a big league role as a reliever. But he's got a lot of work to do. As someone who's like kind of follows the game logs a lot, I do feel like maybe his numbers don't necessarily match how good he's been, because he would be a very streaky pitcher if there is a such thing, where he'd go on like 5, 6, 7, 8 outings in a row where he was dominant, and then he'd have like one blow up game that really inflated his not only his ERA but his walk rate and everything. So I think he might be a little bit better than some of his numbers. But again, I'm not gonna lose sleep over a guy like, that's kind of in his spot that you gave up for a big leaguer that maybe can help you a little bit right now. So yeah, I mean, ultimately we'll see on that. But shout out to Andrew Moore. I did enjoy following Andrew Moore, and one less interesting reliever down at Double-A. But they have some really interesting ones this year. They have a couple guys that are pitching really well down there. So we'll obviously continue to follow that. All right, well, that's it. Just wanted to kind of share my quick thoughts here on the Connor Joe move, kind of break down what I see with that. Of course, Corey and Eric Phillips did a great job on Chatterbox Reds post-game show on Friday night. They'll be back on Saturday night as well. So be sure to check that out. They talked all about the game. I don't want to talk about the game. I was thrilled that I did not have to do a post-game show after that game on Friday night. So be sure to check out their thoughts as well. And then me and Trace will be back on Sunday evening to hopefully talk about maybe a Red Series win. Maybe they can figure it out. We'll get rolling. All right. Well, thanks so much as always. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed here to Chatterbox Sports. Let me know in the comments what you think about this move. If you think I'm crazy about still wanting Will Benson to get some playing time and resigns to get some playing time, let me know I'm crazy. I'm kind of used to that at this point. And then, of course, in podcast feed, make sure you subscribe to Chatterbox Reds. And if you can, leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. All right. Well, have a fantastic day. Have a great weekend. Go Reds.